Hi, we're live. We think we're live. Hi, everyone. How is everyone doing?
We turned the mic off. I don't know if the mic is now.
Okay, now we're live. Sorry, we were live, but our microphone was off, but it looks like it's working now. Hopefully some people join us out there. If not, we'll just chit-chat. It'll be like coffee talks amongst ourselves. I'm Sherry, and this is Jason. If you're out there, say hello. It looks like there's a couple of people joining. Yay! If you're there, please say hello so that we know you're there. Say hi to us in the chat. That way we can also see if it's working or not. We're just gonna chit-chat for a little bit until some people join. What are you all up to today? Let us know. Are you quilting? Are you cooking? What are you doing?
Is your weather better than ours?
Yeah, is your weather better than ours? It's pretty gray and rainy out there.
Because you were going to do this outside.
Yeah, we were going to do that outside. Hey, Ellen, yay! Hopefully, if you can't hear us, okay, please let us know. What were you up to this morning, Jason? You were out in the garage?
I was, but it's early spring. I was hoping to do some outdoor work, but with the rain outside, I decided I had to do some indoor work. Rebuilding a wheelbarrow. It's the kind of thing I like to do.
That's what happens here at our house on Saturdays. Rebuilding wheelbarrows.
It's either that or tomorrow I'll repaint the bulkhead on to the basement.
That's super exciting.
I mean, for me, this is the kind of thing I love. I love fixing up old stuff. This is why we live in an old house.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was doing a little bit of quilting this morning. I am working on what is kind of a secret project. I hate saying that because it sounds weird, but working on a secret project that all will be revealed on Thursday with a company that I love working with. And in fact, I think we're going to try to do this every Saturday, or at least I will. Jason may not be with me. I'll introduce him in a minute if you don't know him. But yeah, I was working on quilting, and next week I'm hoping I will be revealing it in my newsletter on Thursday, and then next Saturday. I'm going to look in the chat real quick. Let's see. Yeah, the weather's gross here in New York. Thank you, Ellen. You could hear and see us fine. Perfect. Polly, hey, Polly. Polly is starting a new English paper piecing project. Yay! Polly was just a student in an online class of mine where I taught English paper piecing. So it's nice to see that's continuing. Cool. And we have someone from Ventura. You're sewing boat cushions. Well, I hope the weather is way nicer in California. So we're going to get started. It looks like we have a few people on. Thank you for joining us. Again, this is a bit of an experiment. I'm excited about it. My name, for those of you who don't know me, is Sherry Cifaldi-Morrill. I am the owner of Whole Circle Studio. I'm a designer. I'm a licensed product developer, licensed designer. I also independently publish my own quilt patterns. I'm a professional quilter, and I'm also a teacher. I travel all over the country when we don't have a pandemic teaching, and I also teach online. I've done some teaching with Missouri Star Quilt Company, with Fresh Quilting, and then I also teach my own live online classes. And this person here is Jason. Jason is not only my husband, but he is the behind-the-scenes person of Whole Circle Studio. He builds things for me.
Like that quilt rack?
Yeah, we'll show the quilt rack in a different, we'll show you how you did that in another future Saturday. He does all the taxes. He does all the things that really keeps the wheels.
The fun stuff.
On,
the taxes, the bookkeeping. Yeah.
The bookkeeping.
The attorney type stuff.
Attorney. Yeah. He really is a huge part of Whole Circle Studio, and I couldn't do what I do without him, seriously. And I would say that even if he wasn't sitting next to me. So here we are. We are in, I guess you'd call it a bonus room of our house. I work out of my house. My studio is upstairs, and in a future Saturday, I'll show that off as well. We were going to do this outside today because what I'm going to be talking about is really applicable to outside, but it is raining and it is wet. And in fact, just about a half an hour north of here, it was snowing.
It was, when I came in from the garage, it was snowing a little bit.
Fantastic. Yeah. So we are inside. We live here in Connecticut, about an hour outside of New York. With our adorable 6-year-old yellow lab Casey, who's sitting at Jason's feet. So that's a little bit about us. I am decided to try this YouTube live thing. For a few reasons. One, There is nothing like a pandemic to make you do things that you've wanted to do for a while, but just didn't have time. Because I'm not traveling teaching as much, I have time to try out some new things, and doing live videos and more video work so that I can connect with all of you was something that I've really wanted to do for a while, but just didn't have the time. So here we are. I'm hoping to make this a regular Saturday thing, Saturday at noon Eastern time. That way people on the West Coast, you'll be maybe joining us with your breakfast, and people, I know I have some followers in Europe and England, might be right before dinner.
Netherlands.
Oh, Netherlands. Wow. Hey, Becky. Excellent. Hi. Thanks for pointing that out. Your vision is better than mine.
It's got to be the evening over there.
Yeah, it must be the evening. So if all goes well, I think we'll do this regularly on Saturdays. I really, really miss teaching in person. But we've been sort of making lemonade out of lemons, and I've been doing more stuff online. I'm hoping that first of all, I hope everyone is doing okay. I hope your family is well and that you're safe. And I know that we'll get through this. It kind of sucks right now, for lack of a better word. And because a lot of my teaching, or all of my teaching, has been canceled, I'm able to do this and connect with you all and still share and chat with you and all of that good stuff. So, I got a lot of things planned, so we'll see how this goes. What I'd love to do, if you're out there, if you have any questions for me or even for Jason, put them in the chat box. If there's things in a future Whole Circle Studio live on a Saturday that you'd like to see, let me know. I have some ideas, but I'd love to hear from you. So just write them in the chat box. Today, what I wanted to do was share a quilt that is very near and dear to my heart. I designed it, actually, I was thinking about this morning. I designed it 5 years ago, around this time, maybe about 2 months ago, 5 years ago.
February, right?
February of 2015. So it's 5 years old. And that is, which is one of my quilts that I'm most known for, my Bzzzz quilts. And interestingly enough, I designed it during another type of quarantine. It wasn't quite as long. It was a huge snowstorm that I designed it in. So I was going to talk a little bit about that today because I thought it would be interesting. So I designed it during a huge snowstorm. Actually, we had a winter here in Connecticut where it snowed 3 feet of snow like almost every other Monday.
Was that the year that it snowed like every other week?
That's what I just said. Yeah.
That was the year that
Thank you, Jason.
That was the year that broke me with snow. I used to love snow before that year. After that,
yeah,
I've
never loved snow. I've never loved snow.
And the dog we had at that point, she had gone blind, and I had to shovel huge areas of snow. So she
was great. She still was awesome. Like loved life, loved eating, loved going outside, but couldn't see. So the snow was taller than her. So we'd have to tunnel things. So I was getting pretty depressed. I do not like the cold. I do not like the snow. And around the same time, I had just pretty much started quilting about a year or two before. I was designing quilts for myself, but I wasn't publishing the patterns yet. And the Quilt Alliance, which is a wonderful organization, it's a not-for-profit that really, their mission is to preserve the stories of quilts and encourage quilters to label their quilts. They had at the time an annual competition. I guess it would be a competition where they had a theme and they asked quilters to make a quilt, a mini quilt, just 16 inches by 16 inches around a certain theme. You could then donate it. They asked people to donate it to the Quilt Alliance. They were auctioning off the mini quilts to raise money for their mission and the great work that they do. They also made it into a competition, and you can win prizes. And at that point, I was more, as a graphic designer, I love a good sort of theme and competition. So the theme that year was Animals We Love. And I remember sitting at my studio upstairs, looking out the backyard, and I was just staring at the snow coming down. I was so depressed. I know he had to hear me how much miserable I was.
I still loved snow at that point. It was shortly after.
Oh, it was shortly after that it broke you. So he was done with me complaining. And Jason, which we'll talk a little bit about, is sort of in a hiatus right now, but a backyard beekeeper. So we have beehives actually still in our house, in our backyard. There's no bees in them right now, but we even still have them now. At the time we did have active bees. We thought they were active. We couldn't tell because there were 3 feet of snow on the hives. But I was thinking about those poor bees, and I was thinking, are the bees ever going to come out? Are they okay? Are we going to be okay? Again, now, living through a pandemic where we're quarantined in the house puts it all in perspective. We were able to go out into public and do things a lot sooner back then. But so from there, I designed a mini bee quilt, and that was sort of my animal that I loved and was my submission to the Quilt Alliance. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I know people always find the beekeeping really interesting. So if people have questions about beekeeping too, quilting or beekeeping, let us know. Jason, I thought was interesting, brought in. Jason, do you want to talk about how we got into beekeeping?
Well, it started with the farm, Massaro.
Oh yeah, maybe it's a longer story than we want to get into.
I'll condense it down into a little story. Is that so? I was the founding president of a local farm, and
not-for-profit
farm, and it's doing great, and still to this day. And we wanted to get bees up onto the farm. So I connected with a local beekeeper who connected me with the local beekeeping club. And then he was my mentor for the first year. And I did 2 hives. And this was 2009, I think,
it was
roughly.
a while ago.
At the peak, I had about 6 hives in the backyard. It kind of ebbed and flowed depending upon the year. Beekeeping is a lot like farming. Depending upon the weather and the season, you have more bees or fewer hives that make it through the winter. And then we had one really great year.
Yeah.
We're still got the honey. I've got honey in the coffee. I had peanut butter and honey sandwich for lunch.
I don't know how you put honey in your coffee.
Oh, it's delicious. It's delicious. And then my beekeeping outfit I've got over here.
This proves that he is like actual, like true.
It looks really gross because, well, it's well used.
Yeah. Well, not recently. We haven't had bees in a couple of years.
Yeah, it's one of those hobbies that takes a lot of time, and the worst part about beekeeping is in the summer when it's 95 degrees outside, and you have to go out to the hives and spend an hour out there with the 5 hives. Taking them apart, checking on the bees, making sure they're healthy, checking the mites and the other pests.
But you enjoyed it.
I did.
Yeah.
I did.
So we had, some years where the bees just didn't survive a winter. But we'll probably have bees again in the future. Life just got busy with other things, work and other priorities and other hobbies. But so anyways, we were going to do this live from our backyard so you could actually see the beehives. But like I said, it's raining and miserable outside. So we're inside with a nice view behind. Yeah. So, so those bees were pretty active that winter that I designed the Buzz quilt. So here it is again. I'll hold it up. So I actually first designed, I have one of my early prototypes here. This was one of the early prototypes I did for the bees. And it was kind of cute, but it wasn't speaking to me as a design. I wanted to make it maybe a little bit softer, still angular, but a little bit softer. So I designed the quilt. This one version is twice as big as the first one. The first one was 16 inches by 16 inches, and I donated it, and I was really excited. It raised a good amount of money for the Quilt Alliance, which was fantastic. And then something else interesting thing happened. The Quilt Alliance started getting a lot of emails that they were like, where can I get this pattern? And they kept forwarding them to me. And at that time, I had only released one pattern, my Little Fishies pattern, which maybe we'll talk about at another Saturday afternoon. And I was looking at this pattern, and while I documented it all, there are some pretty tricky parts, especially when it was smaller, 16 inches by 16 inches. But enough people emailed me, and it was enough that I really wanted, I felt passionate about it, that I then figured out the best way to explain it and release it as a pattern. So that's what I did. Some of you out there may have it. The Buzz, this has been reversed. Everything's been reversed. But the Buzz mini quilt pattern. And to this day, this is 5 years ago, it is by far my most popular pattern, which is really, really special. I've had a lot of non-quilters email me and want some piece of it. And so I've done things like even made little enamel pins that are in my shop, my online shop, taking it from one of the motifs. And then Jason actually has one of the limited edition T-shirts.
The branding, right here, right.
That we had for sale for a while that are now, it's discontinued. So it's just really interesting. And one thing that I really do when I design my quilts is try to follow things of what do I like, what do I love, what do I care about. And the bees are something that was really special, and I think that's why it was one of my most popular pieces, and people really love it. So if there's any questions out there, again, just write them in the chat box. Happy to talk about quilting or about beekeeping. So I also have another, it was interesting. So this one was made in all solids, which is really beautiful. This was one of my first ones that I made. I have another version here.
So rare. I look at these so up close. like the yellow thread that you used on the body versus the gray and the stripes and then the white.
Yeah, the quilting on these samples are a little bit elaborate, and it was a very special quilt, so I spent extra time really thinking about that quilting. Here's another version which has little subtle prints and then this really cute polka dot print. Can you see that?
It's tough to see on the...
Yeah, there you go. You can see it a little bit better.
Yeah.
And then recently I was making some more bees, and I know it's really popular, the Moda Grunge. It worked really well in as well. Excuse me, as well. So this was, you could see it's sort of half constructed, half not. So yeah, so this week, the other reason this is really top of my mind is, again, I've been teaching online live classes during this pandemic, classes that I've actually retired or I don't teach in person. And it's been a really fun way to connect with other quilters. Jason's been my cameraman for those. We just finished up a couple. And so I'm doing one with the bee quilt. I know a lot of people have the pattern and you can certainly make it on your own, but there's some tricky things that quilters just like, first of all, just like to kind of connect, especially I think we all want to just kind of be able to try to connect with one another. So so that's one reason for doing the Buzz class this week that starts on Tuesday. Also, I know some people get a little intimidated by some of the techniques in the Buzz quilt pattern, precision strip piecing. So that's something I'll cover, how I get some of my tips and tricks for getting my strips so precise. These are, I think, about 1 3/4, 1.5 inches wide. So I'll be covering that and showing some of my tips. The top part, just this top B part, is foundation paper piece. So it's a technique that I love a lot. I'll be talking about tips for that. I do. I do a lot of. I do, and the pattern I'm working on right now is actually a bunch of patterns are paper piece. I love all techniques, but that is a fun. I'll talk maybe another day about why I really love that. And then the other thing, which I know freak people out, this pattern does have some Y seams. So these angular pieces where they come together. This is sort of an example. And once you get the general technique, a Y seam on a machine is pretty easy. So I'll be covering that in the class as well. So yeah, so bees and Buzz. I haven't made one of these quilts in a little while. I've been making, made blocks here and there. So it'll be a fun quilt to pick up on again.
Was the last one you made for our friends down in Texas?
I think so, yeah. So some special friends of mine down in Texas have a bee quilt. They actually took it and they framed it, and I was able to visit them in the summer, and I was like, wow, it was just really cool to see it in a frame. They had it professionally framed. So yeah, so we're going to be launching that class on Tuesday.
This Tuesday.
This Tuesday.
At 1 o'clock?
1 p.m. Eastern time.
I need to put that in my work calendar to make sure.
Yeah.
I got to be cameraman for that. So I got to make sure I don't screw up and schedule another meeting.
Yeah. So we'll be doing that. If you are interested, you can register for the class on my shop. So it's just go to wholecirclestudio.com, click on shop, and you'll see the listing for the registration for the Buzz online class.
Do you want to talk about some of the specifics about that class? Like you need to have a Facebook.
Yeah, there's a few things you need to do. The platform, because I want people to be able to interact with one another. This is great because I'm live and you could see me. But we'll be having a community like similar to this where you'll see me live. You can go back and watch the replays if you can't make it to class, or if you want to go back and see something that I did. Yeah. But also in between classes, you have the opportunity to interact with other students. I noticed this morning someone already put in what fabric they're thinking of. Cool. So it's fun to be able to interact. We did that with the last class I taught, and people were able to connect from all around the world with each other. So it was a lot of fun. So yeah, you'll need to have a Facebook account. And then you'll need some basic supplies. You'll need a sewing machine, and all of that information's in the shop list, so you can see that ahead of time. But yeah, I think that's it. Was there anything else about Buzz that you could think about? I don't see any questions popping up. Hopefully people can still hear and see us.
I was just trying to remember how many of these you've made, and because this,
I've auctioned some off, so there was probably about 4 or 5 of them.
How many did you actually take the time to do the hexagon?
Most of them, yeah. So the quilting was a little, I don't know if you could see that. I did little hexy quilting on these quilts. So I think we'll talk a little bit.
Was that free motion or walking foot?
No, that was walking foot. Yeah, so which is one of my preferred. I think we'll talk about walking foot quilting. I keep thinking about all the things I could talk about and alive. So we'll talk. It's not, the class is not a quilting class, so I don't want to mislead anyone. But we'll talk about quilting, and I'm happy to talk about how I quilted the Buzz quilts as well. Yeah. So I think that's about it. I don't see any questions. So.
This was our first live session,
so we weren't sure what to expect. Yeah,
so
looks like we have a few people, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
It's live. I'm pretty sure, I'm confident that we can save it so people can watch it after. So maybe I'll send out a link. If you are on, or even afterwards, if you don't see this, if you see this but as a recording, please consider subscribing. It's free to you. It helps me out a lot. When I get to 1,000 subscribers, I think we're about almost at 300 right now. Mm-hmm. When I get 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube, I can actually use my cell phone to film. Right now it has to be my laptop with under 1,000. And just if we can use my cell or other devices, then I can actually do quilting demos. We can go in the backyard. I can show other things in context. So
you can be out in the world somewhere.
I can be out in the world. Maybe a remote from a live class. I don't know. The possibilities are endless. So if you're watching this, whether it's live or recorded, please hit subscribe. It helps out a lot. And I think that's it. So I do think we'll be back. I don't know if we'll both be back. I will be back next Saturday, noon Eastern time. I have, like I said, a really cool project that I'm working on that I think most people will be excited about. It affects a lot of people. You know what it is.
I do. I'm trying to think of which one it is.
The one I'm working.
Whisper.
No, I'm not whispering. Right. The one I'm working on right now.
The one that was on the bed?
No, not that one. Oh, Jason. His memory is
Well, there's
awful.
So many projects that you're working on, and you switch every day.
You're really getting a behind the scenes of how conversations in our house go. Anyways, hey, Misa and Renee. Becky, your Facebook wall name, please. Yeah, it's Whole Circle Studio is my Facebook group. If you are interested in the bee workshop, that's through a private Facebook group. You have to subscribe first in the shop. You have to, register for the class in the shop first. Right. If you have questions, but you can email me. The best way to email me if you have any questions is to go to my website, wholecirclestudio.com, and there's a contact button, and you can email me.
Oh, I suppose once you get enough followers on YouTube, we can put the little things on the screen over
there. There's so much stuff. So yeah, subscribe, tell a friend. Anyway, so I will be back next Saturday with the project I'm working on that my husband, who has been watching me work on, it's amazing.
My brain is back in the garage with the wheelbarrow that still needs to get
Anyways,
finished, so
now we're just going. So thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next Saturday. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye, everybody.